Bournemouth 2, Tottenham Hotspur 3. And Janusz Michallik, when Kiefer Moore scored Bournemouth's second and his second of the game after 50 minutes to put Bournemouth 2-0 up, what chance did you give Spurs to get something from this game?
I didn't. It was funny because the way it started, obviously, with Kiefer Moore, obviously two different types of goal, right? One encounter was the first one was very much Spurs-like in terms of how quickly they broke on the right. I think it was Tavernier that just kind of put it in front. He put that away nicely, of course, on the header. That was beautiful. He's tall enough, I guess, so he's got to be scoring those, Kiefer Moore. I didn't think it was going to end well. Then even before the winner, I was thinking, you know what? That 1 point for Spurs, it's magic, right? We were going to talk about this, and my tone was going to be slightly different, I suppose, because I was kind of almost going to praise them if it ended 2-2, right? Because that point makes a difference, right? And we'll talk about Spurs, who was there, who wasn't, but the point kind of keeps them in the top four, even if Manchester United win the game. So losing 2-0, 2-2, yeah, not great because of this, that, or that. And then to get that winner in the fashion that they did. I was just remember, the game against Sporting Lisbon, Harry Kane disallowed goal, right? That would have made it so much easier for Spurs in terms of Champions League and Premier League as well. So character, this is Antonio Conte. I know it's over talk, but I mean, we all know that he himself and his team do show character. And obviously it's a massive. I mean, think about how everything changes in preparation for this big game against Marseille and for the next couple games before the World Cup.
I'm glad you mentioned the word character. I think it's the perfect word because at 2-0, footballers have got a choice. You played the game, Janusz. You can just feel sorry for yourself and maybe not run that extra yard or whatever, but they continue to fight. And they got 3 goals from 3 sources that don't normally score goals for them. However, once Sessegnon gets the goal, I think it was only 7 minutes or so after they went 2-0 down. I think he was just about to come off as well for Ivan Perisic. So to get that goal back was at a good time. And it gave them that belief and that character that they showed. Because if they'd gone longer at 2-0 down, their heads might have started to go down. But he's instilled a belief in that team that they never know when they're beaten, hasn't he?
Yes, I think, if I just look at it simplistically as a player, right? I mean, sometimes you don't want a manager that kind of talks to you nonstop. He does a play-by-play before you get the ball, tells you where you need to be, who you need to pass to. That's Antonio Conte. When things don't go your way, you don't want a manager like this. But when you struggling, I think, and then the goal goes in, and then then you kind of know. That you have to get back because the consequences with Antonio Conte aren't great. So I take your point in that. I still think it's somewhat, I look at his team, and in particular in this game, was dysfunctional, right? I mean, a big rotation, which Antonio Conte is not used to. He needed that because the lack of rotation probably, cost him some injuries, as we've seen it here. Because I looked at ahead of this game, and those two goals from Kiefer Moore, Romero is out, not even in the squad. Eric Dyer gets finally his first rest of the season. So that back three is going to struggle. And we've seen Davinson Sanchez struggling a little bit today. Then Ben Davies scores a goal, of course. That's important on the other side. Bentancur, who was, in my opinion, if not the best player this season for them, the most consistent player this season. Well, he comes in as a substitute, didn't start, which was a bit of a surprise for me as well. He scores, that wonderful goal, the winner, to make it 3-2 as well. So it is dysfunctional. That word goes well with Antonio Conte. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. But I tell you what, we often talk, remember these 3 points, or remember that point, or remember this or that. You just have a feeling that this buys them so much time and it gives them so much momentum. Because remember, I don't know about you, but I think of this period right now for Spurs as like, okay, get yourself in a decent position until Richarlison and Kulusevski comes back. Now you have 2 key players that you're definitely missing. You recover Romero. You probably, you maybe get through the Champions League. And then comes the World Cup, and you say, okay, we're in the top 4. We're in the next round of the Champions League. Mr. Levy, hello, I need more players. But you know what I mean. It's more positive that way.
How good are they, Spurs, when they've got players missing and when they've got everybody fit? They're a top 4 side, you think?
I think they are, but you know, I've said this before, but it has to be said because again, this was a game that showed. I mean, Antonio Conte, when he says they're not deep enough, he's right. They do need to get more players because this system of his will never work properly without the wingbacks, and they don't have them. They just don't. Emerson is not good enough. We know that. Sessegnon, tactically not good enough. I mean, he scored the goal. He was going to be substituted just before he scored that goal, right? He was going to take him off. It's just not good enough. And it's a vital part of Antonio Conte system. You have to have those players. So when I look at them, I think we're going to see games like these or periods where, don't you have a feeling that it seems to me like Harry Kane and Heung-min Son have to generate chances for themselves. If they don't, nobody else. And that's an issue, right? Because if you ask them, they probably say, well, wouldn't it be nice to have a tap in from a good cross from a wide area or an early cross from a wide area? Bentancur from the center can provide that. Højbjerg, as we've seen, a wonderful ball to Sessegnon can. But I just think that, you know, it's a vital maybe flaw that Antonio Conte, of all the things that he wants, he doesn't have when he needs the most.
Yeah, and you would hope that if one of them's injured, Richarlison or Kulusevski, the other would be fit. The problem they've got right now is they're both injured. You were talking about wingbacks. Perisic is a wonderful player, but he's at the age, he's not going to be playing 90 minutes every single week, and that's why he has to rotate. I just want to end with Bournemouth, 2-0 up. That's going to hurt them, not getting anything from that game, not even getting a point with that late goal from Bentancur. But from what you've seen so far from Bournemouth, what chance of them staying up and finishing outside the bottom 3?
Still in the balance, I think. You know, I mean, you saw the way they started. It wasn't pretty. You know, they've got a little bit of balance, but look at the points, look at the table. I mean, they're probably, you know, not probably, they're looking backwards rather than forwards. Even because, look, I mean, we've seen the Premier League table. Every week we look at it and we look from 10 on. Everybody's not even close to being safe. So I think you're going to have that sort of a season where kind of everybody's going to feel that. As soon as you get a win, you lose a game again. So look, it's been good because, yeah, Dominic Solanke's been absolutely outstanding. Kiefer Moore doesn't always start, right? But I mean, games like these, that's why I think this is one of those games that would have been a bonus, right? I mean, that's worth more than 3 points, which they could reasonably or should reasonably have had. I mean, for sure, they shouldn't lose all 3, that's for sure. So I think this is one of those games that you could see, all right, I mean, between Solanke and Kiefer Moore and Billing, yeah, we've got something there. But if you don't take advantage of chances like these, that's trouble. So, yeah, I'm looking at Bournemouth from game to game, and I'm still not sure if they're going to survive.
2-0 down for Spurs to come back and win it is a big 3 points. And come the end of the season, that could end up being a huge 3 points for Spurs.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.